I don't want to waste your time in this video. I'm going to show you exactly how I grew my biceps from this to this, and my back from this to this. So I'm just going to quickly show you every single exercise we'll be doing in this workout, and then I'll just walk you through them. So for example, here I'll walk you through exactly how to do the exercise so you don't look like a neek in the gym, a newbie. Right? And also I do abs on this day, so you can add it if you want, little added bonus. So this is an app called Liftoff that I use. You can use it if you want, download it on the App Store, whatever, it's free. I'm not sponsored. So for back, it's a little bit all over the place, but we've got lat pull down, we have dumbbell row, and we also have chest supported dumbbell row. And then for abs, you've got machine seated crunch, captain's chair leg raise. And for biceps, we have dumbbell reverse curl, preacher curl, and incline dumbbell curl. Every single set, every single exercise, we'll be doing 2 sets, 1, 2. And then I like to train in the 4 to 7 rep range, training heavy, but also keeping correct form and going to failure on every single set. But it's up to you, you can train 8 to 12 if you want to, or train higher than that, I don't mind. Personally, I've seen the most development in 4 to 7, so take that as you want. Right, let's get into it nice and quickly, shall we? Biceps. So this is exactly the order that I do them in to maximize things. Like if you do back first, I find that my biceps get a little bit involved and it just messes it up. So I like doing the smaller muscle group of biceps first. But it's up to you. So this is incline dumbbell curl. However, I'm not using a bench. You see, most people do it on a bench where like they literally just sit back on a bench and then do the curls. But I find that doing it on the lat pull down, I know it's a bit weird, it's amazing, right? So let me just skip through this. So first of all, you've got to pull the thing that goes on the top of your knees. You've got to pull that all the way up, like literally max it out, right? Because it's got to be on the back of your triceps. That's where you're going to rest your arms. Okay, so you pick the dumbbells, put them on your knees, obviously, and then, sorry, my mate walked in at the same time. So this is how you dismount, right? So you go back into it and lean back. So you want to stick your chest out nice and far forward. You want to keep your arms back completely lengthened, so completely straight like this. Okay, you see how, I know it's not the best angle, but my arms aren't like slightly bent. You know, I'm doing half reps like this, right? I want to go all the way to, basically, I want to push my forearm there, I want to push it backwards, like I'm flexing my arm backwards, right? I'm trying to break my arm. That's when you know you're in the lengthened position. Because otherwise, you're just, I'll get onto that later. So just like any bicep curl, on the way up, you want to go all the way to the top, squeeze your forearm into your bicep, so literally squeeze it as far as possible into your bicep, and then slowly lowering it down. Notice the tempo. I'm not like going all the way up and all the way down really quickly, just nice and slow contraction. And then see there where I breathe and I go like that. Breathe through your nose if you can. I know I just breathe through my mouth, but breathe through your nose if you can. And on the way down, that is when I'm flexing my tricep. You see how I'm pushing my forearm that way, backwards. See, just like that. And that puts your bicep in the lengthened position. And that you don't want to just like let it drop and just have your arm sort of dangling there. You still want to control it whilst pushing your forearm backwards. And you'll know if you're doing it right. Stick your chest out as normal and then go back into the curl right to the top. And this is the tempo that I want you to go at. Squeeze at the top and lower it back down. Squeeze at the top. And I am kipping a little bit, which is sort of when I use momentum. Try to limit this as much as possible. You want a little amount of momentum as possible, right? So you'll see I do it a little bit here, which is a mistake. So yeah, so I'll go like that and move my arms a little bit. Try and make it so your arm, that's why I use this pad on the lat pull down, because it completely isolates your arm. So all the way down, nice. And make sure you do a little bit of a squeeze at the top, like as in hold it for about half a second. So instead of just going up and straight back down again, go all the way to the top, squeeze, and then back down again, yeah? So you want to really slow this stuff down, because people, personally, I just think, I'm doing all like the bro science, I don't know the exact science behind it, but essentially, I notice way more gains when I do things slowly and more controlled. Because that way, if you start kipping, you start throwing your arms upwards to trying to get the reps. Sure, you might get a little bit of activation in your bicep, but mostly it's just like your back or your rear delts or something, you know, getting involved when you're like trying to thrust your arm up. So if you really isolate your biceps, you'll see that my biceps are what give out. In fact, I switched to one arm, but my biceps give out, right? Which is what you want. You want to train your biceps to failure. You don't want to train your whole body to failure, right? So nice and isolated. And what I find is that when I'm at about, say I've got about half a rep left in the tank, right? So after this rep here, this one here, I'm like, okay, see, I literally failed that rep. And at that point, when you're gonna fail a rep, I switch to one arm. So from 2 arms to 1 arm, and for some reason I can just get another rep, I don't know why. Still having that same tempo, nice and controlled. Then into the other arm, up, you have to really, really tense it. And then at this point, I think I fail. Oh no, I think I get 1 more rep on my right arm than on my left arm, which is probably not a good thing. Yep, I failed that one. But see how I'm kipping a little bit, but I'm keeping my arm nice and concentrated. Right, now on to preacher curl. So if you've got a preacher curl machine, then that's fantastic. So you may have seen the video online where somebody tears their biceps on preacher curl. And what I was talking about before, if you don't do that lengthened position thing, right, if you don't go right to the bottom of the movement there, the bottom of your bicep isn't strong. You haven't grown the muscle, you haven't strengthened your bicep in that lengthened position. So when you go all the way to the bottom, like this, right, like all the way to the bottom, your bicep and your tendon and everything isn't strong, because if you're doing half reps, you haven't trained it in that fully lengthened position. And obviously if you put too much weight on, your bicep may be strong, but not in that position. So it's just completely overloading your bicep and it could tear. So that's why you need to go completely to the end of the movement. Same with here, you want to go all the way down to the bottom, making sure it's nice and controlled. I could have gone a little bit slower, and you see how my tricep flexes. Again, I'm moving my forearm, pushing it back into this, the part of the machine or whatever. And then nice on the way up, nice and fast, squeeze a little bit at the top, and then slow back down. See tricep flexing right there, all the way down. And obviously, when I go down on the eccentric, which is when I'm going down, I breathe in, I go. This is when I was still breathing through my mouth. Breathe through your nose, it's difficult at first, but it's way better for you. And it helps you get more reps, I find. And then push out, go, blow out on the way up, like that. And you can see I'm sort of like, you can see my breath. Maybe I'm not doing it properly there. And Bob's your uncle, you've just done preacher curls. And now moving on to reverse hammer curls or reverse easy bar curls, whatever you want to call them. This is basically the complete opposite of this movement, but you still want to use the same thing. So get the easy bar. Also, I forgot to mention on this preacher curl, I like having my hands on this inner section right there. See if I can zoom in. This part right there, okay? So you don't want them too close, but you don't want them all the way at the side, right? In fact, on preacher curl, you want to have your hands on this bit right here. So on the V shape. So this V, yeah, you want your left hand there, your right hand there. But on this one, you want to have your hands on the outside. So on the, like, if this is an M, right, you want it on the right at the end, yeah? And what you're going to do is you're going to see how my thumbs are right on the top, so they're not clasping them like this, they're on the top. It depends what you like doing, but I find this involves my forearms a lot more. On back, I always do that. I always keep my thumbs on top. I don't keep them clasped underneath, because otherwise that activates my forearms, my biceps. So make sure you just test out and see how it feels. And essentially it's just a reverse curl. So you're just curling upwards. So you start out at the bottom, your hands are facing as if they're facing down like this. If you can see, my palm is facing that way and my knuckles are that way, as you can see. And then you want to curl it up to the top and then squeeze for half a second and then slowly back down. Flexing that, you can really see the flexion of the tricep there. See how I flex my tricep? And then all the way up to the top, squeeze for half a second, slowly back down. Every curl is basically the same. It's just a little bit different. See if I go to failure right here. I think I do. yep, I can't do any more reps. Like, I physically cannot do any more reps, so I put it down. Right, now moving on to back. I love a good bit of back exercises. So to start off with, I used to do all like the machines and everything, but now I've just moved on to these dumbbells and they're so nice. So this is single arm dumbbell row. So essentially, you can't see it here, but the bench is flat. So you just want a normal bench. You don't need a Smith machine. You just need a bench and dumbbells. A bench is completely flat like this, and then I like to move, like the seat, I like to move it upwards just so I can put my hand on it. You'll see that here. So, as you can see, it's a little bit up, so I put my right arm, so I'm training my left arm here. I put my right arm on the seat, I put it down just so I can stabilize myself. I put my knee on the flat part of the bench, so I'm sort of kneeling over. And this is the part which you really need to focus on. So, if you want to train the middle part of your back, then you have the dumbbells out wide. So, you have the dumbbells going out like this, right? So you're flexing your back like this. If you literally do this in real life, you'll feel it. You'll feel it in the middle of your back. But if you want to train your lats, which is what I want to do here, which is like this part of you, and gives you that width in your back, then you want to train them at like a 45-degree angle like this. So literally, if you go like this, you will feel it in your lats, just like that. And this is what I'm doing here. So you want to let the dumbbell all the way to the bottom of the movement here. I'll go over that in a second. And then you want to lift up, just like this. And the top of the dumbbell, so not the back, but this bit of the dumbbell, you want that to touch just under your lower chest. When you bring it up, really emphasize that lat engagement. Literally think, like the mind-muscle connection, think about your lats moving and contracting, and wait until that touches the top of your, or the bottom of your chest. Hold it for half a second, then slowly release it back down. And when you go to the bottom, make sure to control it all the way. You don't want to just let it drop, because that'll just, hurt. And you want to let it go all the way to the bottom there. And then you want to roll your shoulder forward. So literally you go out like this, and then you roll it forward. See how it rolls forward a little bit, and then go back into it and contract all the way up to the top and touch the bottom of my chest. And of course, you've got to do this on both arms. So you do it on this arm. Sorry, this is crazy quality. There we go. All the way to the top, and then I think I'm done at this point. You'll see failure. Yep, done. And then you'd move on to the other arm and complete that. So as I said, I wanted to train my lats in this clip. Here I wanted to train my traps, which is the middle part of your back. So, as I was talking about the grips, essentially, looks a bit mad, but when I go up to the top, you'll see that my arms are, you can't really see it from this angle, but try and make your arms like this. So when I'm going upwards, it literally goes like this. So on the other one, you are going like this, and then on this one, out to the side, out wide. So for this, it looks like a mental setup, but you want the bench, you want this, it doesn't really matter about the seat, but this you want to, I think it's a 45-degree angle, yeah? So it's literally just like this. And you want to, it depends on the exact bench you've got at your gym, but mine have wheels literally right here. I don't know if you can see them, but there's wheels there and there's a wheel on that side as well. It's very small, but just so you can move the bench. And I like to fit my 2 feet right in front of it, so my feet are together like this and my legs are together, and that way I can really sort of like lock into the set, right? I feel really like in the set. And then I literally just fall down. In fact, you'll see me get into it right here. So pick your dumbbells up. You'll have to go lighter on this than on the other one, or at least I do, because my middle back isn't as good. And you'll see I put my feet in between these two parts, just like this, and then I literally drop myself onto this part of the bench, onto this top part of the bench, just like that. I literally drop and get those pecs right on there. I like getting it about middle chest, maybe lower chest. I don't like putting it on my upper chest, but about middle chest you want to do it. Find a spot that's comfortable. And you want to get to the point where you're literally dangling. Your arms are literally dangling completely vertical to the floor, right? So you don't want them out here, you don't want them back here, you want them completely vertical. And this is where I roll my shoulders forward. So you can see this is where I'm getting prepared, and then rolling of the forwards, rolling of the shoulders forward, and you see the top of your back sort of sticks out a little bit, just like that. You look like Hunchback in Notre Dame, and then right up to the top. So you might, I notice that sometimes I kip a little bit, which is a problem, but you get up to the top, completely like right angle, like this, so not 45 degrees before, 90 degrees, up to the top, flexing that upper back as hard as possible. I could have moved forward a little bit more there because I'm sort of like at this angle, you can see. But you want it to be sort of as far over as possible, leaning over as much as possible. And flexing the upper traps just like that. And then slowly moving them down, and then flexing the shoulders, rolling them forward, and then all the way up to the top. That was a terrible rep. Nice and slow. Remember to keep it as slow and as steady as possible. Just like that. Up and down. This is the point where I reach failure, I think. Yep, cannot do any more. I'm trying, and that's me done. And you literally have to push yourself off with your chest to get off it. Like that, like push it off, and then you're fine. Do excuse me, instead of lat pull down, I do cable row. That's what I meant to put in here. So cable row, it depends if you've got an actual row machine, like as in like a proper cable row machine that's built for this. But instead, if you don't have one, my gym doesn't have one, I just use the cable. This is the cable machine right here. And what I do is you can use any sort of attachment, but make sure it's at 45 degrees. So for here, I've got two D handles that I've just connected onto this carabiner right here. So I've connected these two up, or you could use like one of the grips for the lat pull down that's sort of like a triangular shape about this width. You want to sit down. I like to put a 20 kg plate there just so I can put my heels on something. You'll see it in a minute. So here, see how I put my heels just on the plate there, or you can use like some sort of bench or anything like that, right? Anything that stabilizes your feet. And you see how these are two different D handles which I'm holding. And again, when you go forward, make sure your back is nice and straight, you know, straight enough right here. And when you go forward, you want to roll your shoulders forward, as I said before, just like that, and then pull back at a 45-degree angle. So at this point, I am like this. Hold for half a second, see that little tense there, and then slowly lower it back down. And you see it's almost two movements. So at this point your back is straight, you know, near enough, it's very close, mine could have been better there. And at this point, when your arms get fully extended, at this point where they're almost completely fully extended, that is when you roll your shoulders forward. See, it's like two movements. It goes from straight to roll shoulders forward, and then back like this. And that is a beautiful contraction. You feel this so good in your back. It's amazing. I start to fail at this point. Also, I like having a little bit of a bend in my leg rather than completely straight. It just feels better. Again, for a lot of these things, whatever just feels the best, whatever contraction you feel is the best, go for that one. But make sure these are, or depending on what you want to do, if you want to target your middle traps, again, you have your grips at a 90-degree angle rather than a 45-degree. So you'd be pulling like this rather than like this. But for me, I'm training my lats, so I'm doing it at a 45-degree angle. And here I'm about to reach failure, so I'm really pushing, really pushing. Would you count that as a rep? I don't think I would. It's close. Fail, and I'm done. Let them down, show off that juicy tricep, and that is back done. Now we're going to move on to abs. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I like doing abs on this day for some reason. So I only do 2 exercises for abs, and one of them is this cable crunch machine. You've got 3 sets of abs. I don't have a picture to show you of my abs, but you have, like, in a 6-pack, you have 2 at the top, 2 in the middle, and 2 at the bottom. You train the top 4 by doing this sort of crunching movement, and then you train the bottom 2 by doing this movement where you lift your legs up. So for the top 4 abs, you would do a machine like this, depending on what you've got. So this is hard to learn, but essentially you want to really grip the top of these things. Most people put their hands in here, I don't like that. Really grip these things into your shoulders so they're nice and tight. And then, oh, you can't actually really see it here, but I put my feet behind the seat. There's like a little connecting part that connects to the floor. I put it behind, so I'm like locked in. I'm like totally locked in. My feet are locked into the floor almost. So it's really nice and tense. So you can sort of see I put my feet behind here and I cross them over just like this. And then of course you just want to do the crunch. So I'll go from this part. So crunch down. My abs are terrible, by the way. And really focus on crunching them. Like imagine actually tensing your abs and tensing them downwards. Rather than like going completely forward and moving your whole upper torso down, focus on contracting them abs themselves and what would do if you were trying to crunch your abs and it literally, you would just go down. After about 5 reps, well about 4 reps, you feel it like hell, it's pain. So you tense it for a little bit, just while you're there, and then slowly move back up. And then when you get to the top, I always look at this pin just before it's about to hit that next weight there. And then at that point, I sort of breathe in, I take my breath, and you can see my stomach sort of contracts inwards like that. So I'm sort of getting breath, breathing in, and then I push out with my breath, push down, get all the way to the bottom, contract, and slowly move backwards, just like that. Done. And you can see it really hurt. You have to, it takes about it takes about 3 seconds before you can breathe. So it's a good pain. I kind of like it for some reason, not in a psychopathic way. But now we're moving on to the final movement, which is just leg raises. Now essentially, if you've got this kind of dip machine or whatever, and you've got like a back thing here, or you could do it on a bar. So if you've got a pull-up bar, I think these are actually better than this, to be honest. But hanging off a pull-up bar and doing the exact same movement, just hanging instead of like sitting here. So you want to have your back on the rest here, and then you want to sort of curl over a little bit, like hunch over a little bit. See, I'm sort of hunched. So rather than being completely straight and completely vertical, hunch over a little bit. And that's like pelvic tilt or something like that. And basically it means your pelvis moves like forward a little bit and you can engage your abs a little bit more. So you don't need your legs completely straight, have a little bit of a bend in them. Push up just like this. And you really want to push your knees into your abs and really contract them. It's all about the contraction of the abs, not about the movement of like the hips or the torso or anything like that. It's the abs that need to contract. And what I do now, because I've gone up in reps, I hold a weight. So I put a weight in between my 2 feet there. So like the flat part of the dumbbell, if I go back up here somewhere, the flat part of that dumbbell there, I put in between my feet there. So the flat is on the top, there's the bar going through the middle, and then there's the bottom underneath there. And I lift that up, obviously, and lift that down. And I go to max reps on here, so this is probably about 7 on here, I don't know. And then once I'm failing right there, that's when I switch to these. So these are like mini crunches, right? So they're a little bit less taxing, but also I find the burn after these are insane. So the exact same as you did before, but instead of having your legs outwards, you're just lifting your knees into your abs. And I think these are actually better for your abs, but I just do the other ones anyway. Don't know if that's exactly what you should do, but I like these. And then you're done. And that is everything. There's a page here. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. When I click it, it shows. Hope you found this useful. I will see you later. Good night.